Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and hopefully John Fitch is going to be joining us. Contacted him earlier today, figured it would be a great day to do mixed martial mindset. That's why I have the earplugs in. If you've noticed, some of the voices are off. Apparently, with the Blue Yeti mic, it's just too sensitive. I can't do it without having these bad boys in, without either a delay or an echo. So hopefully Fitch comes and joins us. Now, normally we talk MMA, and we're going to talk a little MMA no matter what. But really, I want to talk about Hollyweird, the Britney Spears revelations, and how I feel it is just such a degenerate, terrible, awful thing to believe that is like the apex. Ooh, I'm famous. Ooh, I live in Beverly Hills. Look at my car. Look at my house. How many people who have all those things are terribly unhappy? How many people who have all those things are constantly in broken relationships and in rehab and reliant on others? Okay? How many of those people are sociopathic liars? And it seems like we have Mr. Fitch coming in right now. Hopefully, I don't see him yet, but I hear him, and now I see him. Fitch, are you there, my friend?
I'm here.
You are here. Excellent. Hold on, let me make sure that... Let's get you nice and full screen. All right. Oh, give me a level.
Check.
Okay, hold on. You're not coming through on this yet. Hold on. Great. We're on the road, Fitch. We're out in Virginia right now. Let's see what we got for settings. So, let's go with the audio. It says, see, I can hear you. And you're there. And you're there. I'm going to have to change it up. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right, hold on one
You
second.
can see me too.
Yeah. All right, so let's just go back with that. And if there's an echo, guys, I apologize. All right, talk now.
Check.
There you go. There's the Fitch we love. All right, so there you go, guys. John Fitch in the house. So, Fitch, other than being johnfitch.net, other than us being on thegruelingtruth.com for the audio version, what are we up to with John Fitch Knows Nothing and everything else John Fitch?
I haven't picked a topic for Sunday's show yet. I missed last week because I was in Indiana. Maybe I'll do a show talking about that a little bit. But yeah, I'm mostly focusing and getting some small groups and stuff together, private lessons here locally in San Jose. But I'm available for seminars too. People can book seminars. They contact Leah at johnfish.net. It's the email. You can get rates there. But yeah, it's summer season. It's time to start teaching.
Absolutely. See, now I'm just going to have to hit the button on this thing and try to do the best I can. So have you been keeping up with this Britney Spears story? Have you seen anything about the conservatorship and the headlines and the things that she's alleging?
I mean, I've seen that there's stuff been going on, and some people have posted like videos of her dancing, and it almost looks like she's having a breakdown a little bit. But it seems like she's going through a lot, and yeah, it's like she can't get her own money. She can't access her own money.
Well, it's even worse than that. So, like, you know, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist. And by the way, guys, we're going to talk about some other issues that are only going to be on Rockfin. This is the #1 martial arts podcast on the platform, if not one of the #1 podcasts on the platform. So
in the world.
In the world, John. That's right.
In the world.
So
the greatest in the history of the universe. That's what it is. Oh no. I lost the sound.
No. How about now? Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. I got to stop. They're just going to have to deal with your echo on this episode. Again, we're on the road. Things are a little troublesome. So, she said that this is state-sanctioned human trafficking. Britney Spears supporters call for justice, slam Justin Timberlake. And not only did she date Timberlake, but he was another one of the Disney kids with her. And basically, she said things like, she was recorded while she was changing and naked, and she was basically monitored at all times. Ma'am, I've worked since I was 17 years old. You have to understand how thin that is for me. Every morning I grew up to know I can't go on out somewhere unless I meet people I don't know every week in an office identical to the one where the therapist was very abusive to me. I truly believe this conservatorship is abusive. And now we can sit here all day and say, conservatorships are here to help people. But ma'am, there's 1,000 conservatorships that are abusive as well. I don't feel like I can live a full life. And basically, this Hollywood system of use and abuse and just caring about fame, this is what it produces in my eyes. Is this like unpurposed mind control or sex slavery? We've heard so many others. Did you see the Nickelodeon kid this week? So the Nickelodeon kid, I'd never seen it, but Zach something or other, I think it is, or maybe I can't see my audience on this side because I am on the road. But why don't we type it in? He might have been a Disney kid. Let's just type pleads guilty.
See, I never really watched. That's I was too old to watch Disney or Nickelodeon or any of those stuff. I don't know who any of those people are. Your audio kicked off again. I cannot hear you.
I keep hitting the button. I'm sorry. This is the guy, Drake Bell. Okay? So this is a Nickelodeon kid, right? So in his 30s, basically endangerment after sexting, trying to groom a 15-year-old girl, this guy. All right? Yeah. And, you've got to wonder whether or not he was abused as a kid because, again, he was in all these Nickelodeon. But he was in a ton of kid stuff. And, this is some systemic shit. How could you have a conscience and let your kids get into this? Like, there are some sick parents out there, John.
Yeah, it seems like there's a really bad history with anybody associated with these programs. And, where are the success stories? Where are the people who are like, oh, my God, my life turned out so great? It's all pretty bad. So it's kind of like, we know, oh, hey, we're going to enjoy the hell watching this kid do this thing, but his life's fucked. Like, who? I don't know.
The way I look at it.
Is it worth it? Society deems it okay. It's okay to ruin these kids because we're entertained.
Listen, I think that everything is a double-edged sword. I think there are good parents out there that get their children into entertainment. There are some people that seem to be pretty well-adjusted adult actors now. You do have those kids like, the Harry Potter kid. He seems okay. There are others, out there. Christian Bale, although he is a weirdo. I mean, he seems like, he was in it from a very, very young age. He's Empire of the Sun kid. Who knows if he'd ever speak out of something like this. But you're being put around a bunch of adults all the time that are into drugs, alcohol, power, big houses, big cars, sex for money, all these different things.
People who would never say no to them and will give them anything just for an opportunity.
Exactly. And that
you also by the pussy.
Well, dude, think about it this way. You've been around a bunch of sociopathic liars just being in the fight game. Would you not think that Hollywood is even worse? Like it's got to be 10 times worse. That's an industry.
Yeah, it's a blood game, man. There's too much money, too much status, too much on the table.
A lot on the table.
A lot of ruthless people.
Exactly. And here's the thing, these things don't shock me. In fact, I'm surprised more and more people don't come out and more is not known about these things. I just can't believe that Kevin Spacey is getting work. We know that all these guys, like Kevin Spacey was a sexual predator.
Plausible deniability is a powerful thing, man.
Well, I guess so, because Conor McGregor's going to fight again, right? He's about to fight in 2 weeks. We'll be covering that when I get back. But, and I guarantee it's going to be one of the top 10 pay-per-views of all time, just because he has that fan base. And if you don't think that has everything to do with the fact that the public isn't aware there's a plethora of evidence that he's a violent rapist, of course it does. It's all it is, man. Of course that's why. And it's kind of sick and disturbing. So I was going over a few things. How much news you been watching this week, Fitch?
I've been avoiding it because I went to Indiana last weekend and had a great time. Got some sun, swam in the lake. Boys had a great time. Nephew graduated high school. It was a graduation party. Awesome. Great time. And I got back and I've mostly been straightening the house up because I was gone for a week and just hanging out with the dog. So I've kind of, kept my sanity without reading too much of the news.
Well, then I suppose you
did. I did happen to catch some of the general talking about, his support of communism or his study of communism and some cultural, race theory stuff floating around, but it's all stomach churning. So I'd rather pet my dog.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up that stomach churning stuff because, again, guys, in about 15 minutes, we'll go over to Rockfin. We'll talk about things we can't talk about here, but we still can talk about these issues here. And if you haven't seen this yet, John, oh, I'm getting the echo on your end. Can you hear me on the other end?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, yep. Okay. All right, there goes the echo. So these are leaked documents from Iowa school systems show that teachers have to show that Make America Great Again are at the almost apex of racism.
I saw that.
Dude, when you read this and you look at this thing, okay, so here's Make America Great Again all the way at the top. That's overt, right? Meanwhile, covert white supremacy is celebrating Columbus Day. Hey, Mayor Cuomo or Governor Cuomo or Governor Gangster has already said that, Columbus Day is not going because of our Italian heritage, right? So apparently he's just a covert white supremacist. But I mean, we're talking Make America Great Again is up there right under racial slurs, racist jokes, neo-Nazis, burning crosses, the KKK, N-bombs, hate crimes somehow. I mean, any crime is going to be elevated. But listen, I don't know that swastikas and hate crimes. I mean, and lynching is at the top. Oh, really? Lynching? Like, what is going on, dude? Like,
I don't know what's going on, man. It's really disturbing. It really is. There's like the really strong push from the government, an institutional push to force some kind of division. It's like they want. I think what they want to do is they want to spark war. They want to spark some type of shootouts so they can just lock everything down. Well, I think that's where this is going. I think that's ultimately what the plan is. They get everybody so confused and everybody believing so much crazy shit, and then they pit people against each other, escalate the violence, and then now they get to come through, take all the guns, put everybody in camps. It's over.
Well, if you've seen this document as well, so here's another one, John. All those people that think that socialists aren't being classified as terrorists, well, let me just read something for you. So this is another leaked document because I've explained it, John. They're going to criminalize everybody and everything, just like they've done on YouTube. Anybody can be censored. You just have to go against the narrative. So in this, on the top, it says Introduction to Terrorism, Terrorist Operations. This is a trainee guide. Okay, and in this sentence, number 3 down here, it says anarchists, socialists, and neo-Nazis represent which terrorist ideological category? So in other words, they're lumping anarchists that believe in no government and socialists that believe basically government runs the show and saying they're the same government thing and putting them with neo-Nazis, bro. It's absolutely ridiculous. So anybody who thinks they're not coming for you, think again. And did you see Joe Biden try to talk about gun control?
What the? Yeah, he's going to nuke people now.
He's not gonna. Well,
Like
I mean,
from
he alluded it. You want to
from
watch
from
the clip?
saying that a bunch of grandmas who were unarmed, big oversized purses, storming the Capitol was an insurrection. Oh my God! To saying that an assault weapon, it's not even really defined, isn't going to stop an F-15 or a nuclear bomb. So you're not going to be able to fight against your government. At the same time, saying that Americans shouldn't be holding weapons of war.
Well, let's just
There's
play
just
it.
it's so much incongruency. Who's sitting down and watching this and be like, he makes a lot of sense. Who?
Well, he can
You're
barely
retarded
speak,
person.
right?
You're clinically retarded. Your brain did not develop.
Let's play it because he has trouble speaking again here, but he basically denies our history. He says that the Tree of Liberty was not watered with the blood of patriots before he gets into nuclear bombs and F-15s. Let's play it.
In our conversation today, we talked about our strategy to supercharge what works while we continue to push the Congress to act on sensible gun violence legislation. First, we discussed cracking down, as you heard from the Attorney General, on rogue gun dealers. We know that if there is a strict enforcement of background checks, then fewer guns get into the hands of criminals. Background checks have thus far kept more than 3 million guns out of the hands of felons, convicted felons, fugitive, domestic abusers, and others prohibited from being able to purchase a gun.
He can barely speak. He can't say fugitives. He can't say discuss. I mean, he can't get the words out, but here's where it starts to get good.
And there's still too many loopholes in that system. And today, enough rogue gun dealers feel like they can get away with selling guns to people who aren't legally allowed to own them. And I might add, the Second Amendment from the day it was passed limited the type of people who could own a gun and what type of weapon you could own. You couldn't buy a cannon. Those who say the blood of patriots, and all the stuff about how we're going to have to move against the government.
Gatling guns.
Like, again, he's a total liar. You're right. You could own those things.
100% lying. People had Gatling guns. People had everything that the government had.
And notice he rambles. I'm going to bring it back 10 seconds when he tries to talk about the blood tree of liberty. He can't speak. So here you go, Joe. Go ahead.
You couldn't buy a cannon. Those who say the blood of patriots, and all the stuff about how we're going to have to move against the government. Well, the tree of liberty is not water with the blood of patriots. What's happened is that there never been, if you wanted to think you need to have weapons to take on the government, you need F-15s and maybe some nuclear weapons. The point is that there's always been the ability to limit.
Bro, first of all, number one, the story that went out there about him saying F-15s and nuclear should have been accompanied with old man with dementia rambles first about a false history of our country, because guess what? The Tree of Liberty was watered with the blood of patriots. Guess what? Those well-organized militias did have cannons, did have Gatling guns, had all those things. He couldn't even talk about fighting the government. I mean, he's a rambling old man, and it's right in our face. Anybody who thinks this guy is in charge of anything, John, is lying to themselves. He's in charge of nothing. He's not in charge of his own bowel movements. Did you see that he had to be reminded to speak about that Miami tragedy by Kamala, and then he rambled like an incoherent nonsense sentence there? Come on, man.
Yeah. What's going on with that thing? That building just collapsed out of nowhere? They don't even know?
Well, they say it hadn't been certified in 40 years. They say in 1981 was the last time it was certified, and they said it was sinking. There's a lot of fake let's get the fake conspiracy theories out there, because they're fake, and I'm so fucking sick of these fucking fake motherfucking conspiracy theories. Excuse my French. But for instance, so John, did you hear this one before we even get to that building? I was in D.C. before I was down in Virginia. I spent a couple days there. Had you seen the lies that were going around on social media that the federal buildings were closed in D.C., like the FBI, the DOJ, the FTC? No, right? You
What was that?
All right, so it's totally nonsense, okay? Basically, the It's Happening crowd, the QAnon nonsense crowd, Someone went over basically when the building had closed down. Now all the buildings are still at limited capacity, and the Capitol is still fenced in. I was just there, right? But they're 100% open. So he basically waited till late afternoon because the sun stays up till about 9 p.m. right now over in D.C. And he went around to the side of the building, which would be all closed off by that point. And he's like, nobody's here. It's happening. And then, of course, the rumors that they were taking over and, like, people were being replaced at the FBI and all that bullshit went there. So, you know, the next day I went out and I'm like, no, it's open. There's construction going on. Here are people walking in. Here's like literally people doing business. And of course, that person's video had tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views. I get like 1,000 views. You know what I mean? That the reality's out there. So the conspiracy theories that have been thrown out there. Obviously, you know that John McAfee died yesterday.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if I was the last one, but I was one of the last people to interview him.
I know you were. I actually mentioned that you had interviewed him, and he looked a lot different than that picture. And who knows whether he took his own life or not. He obviously said he wasn't going to. But he obviously hadn't been tortured for like months at a time before then. And then it was about to be extradited to the United States. So I'm open to anything. Who knows? Maybe he bought his way out. It's tough. That last picture of him looks rough. But the conspiracy theory, the fake one that got thrown out there yesterday, is that McAfee's Dead Man Switch documents were being housed in that Florida building. So, of course, exactly. So, of course, you know.
It'd be a drone strike.
Well,
it's a drone strike. Laser weapon. It was a laser weapon because McAfee's stuff was in there.
Yeah, I would think that McAfee,
which also contained the identity of Satoshi
Nakamura.
His name is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Is it Satoshi Nakamoto? I forget. Satoshi like is the Bitcoin founder, supposedly, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do we live in such a weird world, bro? And by the way, guys, sorry, but I'm having fun with this one.
It's on purpose, man. Like, it's purposeful. They're creating chaos. The elites, the banks, the banking cartels, we're their pawns. They're playing with us. This is a big game. They're pushing us like what's happened in the last, 50, 60, 70 years. It's just more and more control to the state, right? The U.S. government just controls more of the world, more of our freedoms. I feel their control of the world slipping a little bit because China is getting more powerful. So because that slip of the outside world, maybe that's being lost, is being forced in on the citizens more. But like,
that's where me and you disagree.
I think
the China thing is on purpose.
Bankers wants to lock everybody down.
Well, yeah, that's where I disagree. I think they love the Chinese model, and it's not getting away from us. Yeah. That's always been the plan. The predator class can't get enough of that Chinese model, and right now they're moving in on us. They're moving in on speech. They're making everybody a domestic terror threat. They're talking about secret police. Again, show me why are people not talking about the 60,000 person secret army that's domestically and foreign that we know nothing about, that's working against us. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. No one on the news. This has been around
not
now.
Even brought up
not once. It's been around 5 weeks. Fuck, dude. I saw somebody this week act like they were breaking the story that college campuses were testing the fecal matter of students through the sewage. Like they were the ones to break it last week. I'm like, you idiots. I talked about that the week it happened. We talked about it on this show several times. Why are these guys, why are blue check marks the ones that are breaking stories? It's just like all this Fauci stuff, the emails, everything that's coming out, Fitch. We all knew this. Because
we don't have a news media. We have PR. We have corporate public relations. That's all. It's corporate PR. If they're a big account, if they're a big organization, they've got sponsors and people giving money that are big business, the big money, the big elitists. It's all PR. Even because of like the structure with MMA and all the power being consolidated. Like all the press is PR. If you're speaking out against or doing real investigative stuff with these athletes or with these promotions, you're going to get exiled. You're not going to get any jobs. The fighters are going to be told not to talk to you. So everything becomes a PR. Power is consolidated. It's always a problem. And the news and the things that are supposed to keep people up to date and know what's going on are silenced. And the PR people who are just jerking people off get promoted.
Again, I don't think you're wrong. So have you seen the Veritas leaks this week?
I've seen several of the clips with the girls, the white girls, or the other reporters making their announcements live.
Well, did you see the one where they have Mark Zuckerberg and his basically law liaison talking about leakers inside and firing them, and then basically saying that you may think you're on the right side of history, but you don't know all the facts when they're talking about censoring truth? Have you not seen that one? We might have to play that. All right, so here's the deal, because I want to talk about...
play that.
Yeah.
So, that's it. That's the whole thing. These people think they know more than you. They're better than you. You're not smart enough to understand what they know, so they have to control everything you say and do and hear.
Let's hope it didn't get taken down.
They're supremacists.
There we go. So it's right here. We're going to get there. Here's the deal, guys. Make the free Rockfin account. YouTube's over. Because after I play this, I'm going to talk about some of the things they actually censored on this platform and on Facebook in unison. It's called collusion. It's collusion. Listen, they call me harmful content right here. Harmful content. Why? Content that focuses on controversial issues and that is harmful to viewers. That's libel. I've never hurt anyone.
Knowing the truth is harmful.
No, fuck them. That means I've hurt people. Fuck you, YouTube. We're leaving right now because you hurt people, and I'm about to expose how you hurt people. You're harmful.
Fun at the Wuhan labs.
Listen, let's not even... That's the next thing they're going to start taking down. Let's not even talk about that. 3, 2...